All right, we've made it to Friday. Hope you've had a great week and getting set for a great mid October weekend. I'm Mike, the host of Red Sox Now. Follow me on all my socials. If you're brand new, it's at the Radio Mike. And also, I will comment on all the videos through Mike Antonellis Media, which is my personal YouTube. And I know a lot of you have been hitting that up and subscribing. Thank you. We're close to 5,000 over there, over 2,000 here. So, nice little Red Sox baseball community here, and I appreciate all of you. You're the best. We have some great dialogue every day, and it's weird. I feel like I know all of you. A lot of you that comment every day, but I haven't seen any of you. That's interesting. So sure we will at some point, but if you could subscribe, as we're over 2,000 on our way to 3K, should make a goal for next opening day, by opening day. We'll do that at some point. We are going to do a all fan show at some point next week, which means all the side comments, all the sidebar will be you. And I think we'll still do comments. That'll be, or maybe I will do the comments on all of you now. But we will have the topics will be everything you provide. And we've already got one, which we'll get to in the comments. So I thought that would be fun. I want to have fun with this, even during the season. Doesn't have to be so serious. I'm not that type of person. I love the game, work in the game. Been a broadcaster for 29 years, but I have a lot of fun on the air, and that's my approach. So we will have fun on our final show of the week, which is Friday. And I did watch most of the Dodger game. Not surprised, day one. I think Milwaukee's pitching is still pretty damn good. We talked about this yesterday, and they built a 97-win club without spending, $130 million. It's because they have good people. They have made good trades, good drafts. And Mizorowski looked really good. They yanked Ashby right away, and Mizorowski went 5, struck out 9. But the Dodgers pitching has just been a little bit better this whole thing, and there's no doubt they have studs offensively, but they have gotten less hitting in this in all of postseason. Really, their pitching has really been a huge part of it. Now they've got pretty good ones, right? You throw out there Snell, Yamamoto, and Glasnow, all three guys that they were able to acquire and give money to. But this is where we're seeing why they do what they do, why they rest guys. They play the regular season a lot like how teams did in the past. The Dodgers did not care that they were a wild card. They're just trying to get through the season, right? I mean, and the more I think about how there's some unfair advantages at some time going into the season, I don't think anybody thought the Dodgers would miss the playoffs, right? You probably thought the Nationals or the Pirates would. And really, it looked like it got to the point of the season where the Dodgers, I'm not going to say mail it in. They were just managing the season. They went through a really horrific slump, and they didn't care. They're just trying to get through it and keep their guys healthy, and this is why. The three guys in this series have had injuries that have started: Snell, Yamamoto, and Glasnow. They managed that. They kept them healthy, and they're up 3-0, one game away from going back to the World Series. They manage all their pitchers like this. But they have certainly, to me, and this is how you win postseason. This is what makes them so good as well, is that they were able to, not not hit to the level of maybe you think they can or would, because of the names. But in postseason, it changes, and they can play both sides of that. And impressive to see, if those top three pitchers, those are all ones to me, right? On most teams, Glasnow's a 1. And he might be better than Snell. So nothing surprising me what they're doing in this postseason. What is in the American League, that if Toronto wins tonight, all 5 games will be decided by the road. I don't know. I didn't look this up because I like to be more spontaneous. I don't know if that's happened. But Toronto, again, they get a home run from Guerrero, hit one late against the former Red Sox pitcher, Bizzardo, who I saw down in Portland for many years. Scherzer was decent. He had a lot of walks. Their bullpen was really good. That's the big difference. Seattle's pitching, their bullpen has not been great. Their starters have not been great the last 2 days. But that's a good lineup. Toronto's a good team. And again, like I said yesterday, when Toronto was down 2-0, their players aren't freaking out on the plane. They're just, they move on so quickly. And now this sets up the Dodgers potentially ending the series tonight with Ohtani on the mound. How about that? Their number 4 starter is Ohtani. And the American League matchup is outstanding. This could be, on paper, but it doesn't always work that way. Bryce Miller, who's been really good, Kevin Gausman. So 2 really good starters tonight in Game 5. This is obviously changes a lot, right? I mean, if Seattle, they need to win. I mean, they need to win this. It's interesting. They win this. Toronto's like, okay, yeah, we're going home. We got the 2 games at home, even though we're down. Right? If Toronto wins it, Seattle's like, yeah, well, we won 2 there. It's good series. I like that it's got this element of the road teams winning. I think it's pretty cool. So we'll see how that plays out. Those games are tonight. If well, obviously there's a Game 6. Game 6 would be on Sunday. And then if there's a Game 7, that would be Monday. And the World Series will not start till Friday. Let me double check. Yeah, Friday. So both teams, all the teams, the Dodgers win tonight, and they're off for a while. And that has not hurt any of the teams. And if you're the Dodgers, think about this. There's no downside to them clinching now. Think about this. If they win 4 in a row, this is a huge, huge advantage. This is why I don't believe in the time off stuff. They can reset and have those 4 go again in a row. I mean, that to me is you can line up Snell, Yamamoto, Glasnow, and Ohtani in the World Series, 1 through 4. They might win all 4 again. I think they're going to win tonight. When it's 3-0, I think that's so hard for that team to win that Game 4. So, yeah, the Dodgers will end it. Cora, this is going to be the last part of that press conference that I dissected, that I wrote my notes down. I wish I could share that. I got to figure out how to share my screen at some point on OBS. Here, I'm sure I could do it. I transposed pretty much the pertinent things that I thought a lot of you would be interested in. If you are interested, just go on YouTube. That's where I watched it. I didn't watch it live. I watched it so I could stop. So Corey, they talked about having that extra outfielder, and he loved it. And we talked about this at the trade deadline. If they had traded any of them, it would have made no sense because they would not have had a ton of depth. And as we saw, they lost 2 outfielders, in Abreu and Anthony. That would have been, you would have been playing, had they traded Duran, you would have had Eaton and probably Joe Stinson Garcia running out there every day. But Cora liked having that kind of setup last year with an extra outfielder, the extra bat, where it was almost like a line change in hockey where he started, say, a right-hander is pitching, and then if a lefty came in, he was able to substitute. But I don't know if that will continue, right? So we'll see what they do. The biggest questions we're going to see when they get in a room how everyone feels about Duran and probably Yoshida. Because my feeling is this, I do like Yoshida because you do need guys in the lineup that put the ball in play. He's when he's been healthy, that first year and a half, he put up really good numbers for what you're looking for. And then it took him a while. But if there's a scenario where they talk to Schwarber and it's a 3-year deal, I'm comfortable with him coming in and just being a DH. Right? Like, I get he can play first, but he's older. I don't want that. I still want someone that can play over there. So if that were to happen, they probably would try to move on from Yoshida, which they would have to eat a lot of that money. That's the problem that I've talked about with long contracts. And I'm not saying that, I don't like them, but the reason they don't like to get into them is because you have to usually eat most of it. If you're the Red Sox, no team's going to help you out. And when you pigeonhole Yoshida as just a DH, which I put on them, Heim was the one that kept him in the outfield. This regime did not. Whether that's fair or not, you lowered your ability to trade someone when he's a DH because the other team's like, we're not going to give you all that money for a DH. We don't care if he hits 300. That's what they're going to tell you. And they're going to do anything to get out of not paying it. Why would anyone pay his... He'd have to hit 350. So it will be interesting to see what they think. Or they're okay with Schwarber at first, if that's a possibility, which I think would be great because I like what he brings too. I mean, he's like another Bregman, but he can also mash. And he's played here, and he's got the whole Kyle from Waltham. There's a lot of stuff about him. And you have him, Story, and Bregman. And Crochet. That's a cool 4 leader. And Chapman's an older guy. You got some older guys, but that's a good core guy to bring in here. I like going back down that road with someone who's been here. I mean, the guy was crying on his press conference because of how much he loved his teammates. Cares. I know about him a lot through Kyle Hart. Kyle Hart and I became very good friends when he was in Portland. They both played in Indiana. That is Kyle Hart's best friend is Kyle Schwarber. He told me a lot about him. Kyle Schwarber was supposed to play for the Woo Sox. I was on TV the day he was in the lineup, but the game got postponed and he never rehabbed after that. But there's a lot of other things about him that are really high level that they like. So you can still have that extra kind of outfield like you did last year. It just might not be the way it was in 25. Interesting to see how that all plays out. It's so fascinating because the Red Sox have built a lot of depth and have options. And like Craig Breslow said the other day, just because we made the playoffs, that's not our goal. Our goal is to win the whole thing. He was pretty bold. I really liked how he talked the other day. We got a lot of work to do. We're not satisfied. Yeah, and I like that. We're going around all the positions. You can go back and watch the other episodes. Catcher first, second, third, short. I'm going to go right, center, left, DH. And then we'll get to the pitching. I thought, there was one point during the season where people thought Rafaela should get MVP votes. And I told some people to pump the brakes on that. Let's pump the brakes. He was hitting 270 at the time. You don't give an MVP to somebody hitting 270. And like his numbers were not MVP. He might have been the MVP of the Red Sox for a pocket, but an MVP player, I mean, come on. Judge, Raleigh, those guys. I mean, you got to put up monster numbers. MVPs are statistical categories. That's what it is. Like the other stuff that you bring to the table is not really how you vote. It should be, it's really based on statistics and what you mean to the club. But you can play that game with everybody. If you took that guy off, yes, we know that. With Crochet, though, I mean, with pitchers, that's why I think a lot of pitchers could win MVP because the Tigers and Red Sox probably aren't even sniffing a playoff spot without Skubal and Crochet. So it's easier. That's why pitchers probably never win it unless they put up like the Roger Clemens year. Ceddanne Rafaela, I thought, did a lot of good things and improved a lot. Again, I think the expectations sometimes get a little foolish. his second second full year in the big leagues. It's not a finished product. And sometimes maybe we expect it. We all do this. I get frustrated with his approach. I thought it was better at times this year. Nearly doubled his walk rate. That's something that's got to improve because he can impact the game with his legs. He needs to get on base more. But cut the strikeouts down a lot. 34 less strikeouts in more games. More runs scored, more hits, more doubles, one more home run. But the ability for him to play Gold Glove center field, and you can put him anywhere, and he won't lose anything. And that says a lot about him. I'll play second. The play he made against the Dodgers, that diving double play, was outstanding. They won that game because of him. Now, as we get in his third and fourth year, this is where you got to start even showing more signs. And they've talked to him on this, but I think that he improved a lot last year. Average was about the same. But for you got to look at everyone differently. He impacts the game every single day defensively. He is by far the best center fielder in the game. He can run. He's got a good arm. He can play center, right. He can play all three outfield spots. He can play second and short. So all of that is an A+. Defense, base running, all of that. If he could even cut the strikeouts down a little more, even if he's still at 100, and if he'd walked 40, 50 times, stole 30 bases, hit 20 home runs, even if he hit like 255, 260, that is fine for that position. He's going to hit lower in the lineup. You don't need him to be Bregman or Roman Anthony for what he brings and how many runs he saves. A 255 to 260 hitter, 18 to 20 homers, 70 RBIs. You start thinking about this right now. 30 steals, 40 walks, 40 double. That's a valuable player, and I do think that there is still a higher ladder that he can climb because there's some juice in that bat. He's a really good breaking ball hitter. Anytime, one of those front door sliders is left to him, he is on it. And I do think at times we can be critical with him. But I don't need much more from him offensively. Yeah, sure. We know that. More contact. Guys in scoring position, yes. He looks overwhelmed at times. He's young. Right? They're not finished products. Their second full year in the big leagues. And I think that those two, center and right, if they continue to develop. See, the thing nowadays with the game getting younger, you have, and Cora's talked about this. These are the ups and downs when you have younger players. They're learning things in the big leagues. There was a time where a 25-year-old was still in AAA, not anymore. So you're going to have to live with some of those things. And remember, a lot of young players are not finished products. Roman Anthony's not. I had, somebody the other day said he's going to regress. And I said, regress? He didn't even play a full year. We haven't seen the ceiling from him yet. He's a 30 to 40 home run type of guy at some point. But it could take time. It's going to take time for him defensively as well. But I like that outfield for, that. And they just think about this, how crazy, when they had Mookie, Jackie, and Benintendi, I'm like, all right, here we go. I mean, this is the outfield. And I didn't think they'd be able to recreate this. And it shows that you can do that with outfielders, because a lot of these guys were infielders at one point. Not Anthony and Abreu, but Rafaela. Those are positions that you can find easier, but not to be elite. Comment time. At State of Mange, 1833. I think Bregman is worth re-signing for whatever extra he wants. If they let him go, the Sox could be without a third and first baseman. As much as I like Meyer, they should get what they can and trade for him. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, you're not going to have a lot of – it depends. Breslow's talked about this. We, as Red Sox fans, think that every team wants all your players. They don't. The trade proposals I'm seeing for Skubal are beyond laughable on social media. The Red Sox do not have, with some of those trades that I'm seeing, it's not happening. That's not happening. Think about what you gave up for Crochet, who was an unknown. Right? I mean, he was. The Red Sox, I didn't think he was, but the Red Sox didn't think he was. But to get an established guy like Skubal, the Tigers just made the playoffs the last 2 years. They can't take prospects. That would just, you can't. It's not going to happen. And I think he's going to stay there. I don't even buy all this that they're short 250. I don't believe any of that stuff. Agents throw things out. And I do know one of their broadcasters, so I got to ask him. I'll get some inside information. At Croc317, our bench coach interviewing for the Minnesota manager. Good way to promote Tech. Too bad we couldn't include in a trade for Ryan. Yes. Yeah, so the way that the coaches' contracts end is November 1st. So they're paid through October. Tech's deal is up, but he did say that he's coming back when there were speculations he was not. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see if he gets any managerial jobs, interviews. I think he will. At 78 Pettibone, when you do a full comments episodes, I'd love to hear about some of the pitchers, players you've seen in the lower levels. They could tell where the next level guys right away. Yeah, you could tell. Okay, yeah. You've talked about guys like Tolle, Anthony, and Bayo. What about guys you saw in the past? Yeah, so it would be, I can do from, I mean, I could go all the way back. I saw Albert Pujols my second year in professional baseball. He came up from A-ball. Excuse me. I was in A-ball. He came up from the lower A to A, and then he didn't even finish the year with us. He went to AAA, and I remember we thought, well, he could be. I wonder where he'll be next year, and he was in the big leagues. Yeah, I could pick a bunch of guys over 29 years. Yeah. I tell people this a lot. If you traveled with me for a couple of weeks and watched the game just next to me, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I see. That guy is good. You could tell. There's a lot of watching the game live. There are things you can see. I will tell you this with pitchers, like in AAA with starters. We go months, because starting pitchers in AAA can be a lot of journeymen. It can be a lot of guys that just aren't starters. They're just keeping them stretched out in case they need something. And then you see, I remember when Tanner Bybee came in and we're like, oh, wow. It's when you see one of them, it really blows your doors off. So it's cool. All right. Happy Friday. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday. I'll get to your comments at some point today. I'm not always at my computer, but I try to get to them as quick as I can. Follow me on social at The Radio Mike, and if you subscribe, I'll be happy. All right? So enjoy the weekend, and as always, go Sox.